What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Got a special client interview today with my guy, Nate. Nate's only been in the program for about a month now, but we've made some tremendous progress. I'm super excited to dive in, but Nate won't steal your thunder. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick. So I'm Nate Kelly. I own Kelly Training on a couple social media platforms out there. But what I do is remote coaching for baseball players. So what I really specialize in is increasing that exit velocity and that 60-yard dash time in order for those guys to get to the next level and noticed by college coaches. So yeah, been in scale for a little bit now. Definitely have seen, some crazy progress, which I know we'll talk about, but it's been a great time, so glad to be here, Nick, for sure.
Yeah, stoked to have you on, dude. Why don't we kick it off by, going back to even before you were considering joining the program or before you joined the program or anything like that. What made you want to get into online coaching?
Yeah, so obviously I've always been around baseball. Like I've loved baseball. Personally, though, I've always had a very analytical mind, I guess in general, but really for the game, like always been a super analytical guy. So as soon as, I got old enough, probably high school baseball, coaching has always been like something on the back of my mind of something I definitely wanted to do in the future. Um, which is funny because you actually come into this picture a little bit. So in high school, um, I dealt with some injuries, and obviously we had COVID, which was big for my high school career. So I had a lot of downtime um, based on those two things. I actually stumbled across your YouTube around that time. Um, and remote coaching was never something I had thought of, right? But it was an idea that kind of got planted back then, mainly from you and your YouTube, that just sounded like the greatest job ever. It sounded like the greatest job ever.
Yeah.
It was coaching, it was, online, which I'm a pretty tech savvy person. Like I know the online space, like I'm pretty good with that stuff. So it molded those two worlds, and I was like, wow, that sounds so efficient, not only for me and my time, but for these players, and it just sounded like a great idea. So I kind of jumped into the remote training idea back in high school, junior senior year probably. Um, and then I committed to play baseball, and I got injured again really bad. So played middle infield. I tore my UCL, which is pretty uncommon for shortstop, second baseman. I did that in a pre-game throwing long toss. So tore my UCL in like the middle of February in Indiana. It was like 30 degrees. Um, so that put me out for the rest of the year. And again, I go back to this coaching idea. So it's funny, whenever I have this downtime, it's always like coaching, coaching, coaching. How can I help in a different sense than being on the field? So again, I put my head in the books. I get super strength conditioning savvy there. And then I look even deeper into the remote side. I'm like, dude, this is something I just got to do. I absolutely have to do that. So senior year comes by. I actually tore it a second time.
Oof.
So shit, man, I'm out for 2 years straight. Again, dude, I go deep in the books, strength conditioning and remote training. So I knew as soon as the college experience was over for me, I knew right when that was over, like I'm getting straight into coaching. And I think remote was the most accessible for me because I'm not going to go to some school, become a head coach like that and do what I want to do because I want to work with high level athletes. So, long story short, I think I got into remote coaching number one through your YouTube and just downtime of not playing and always wanting to coach in the future for sure.
Yeah, sick. Sick. I'm glad my YouTube was able to provide you some value.
Yeah, dude.
So, okay, you get into coaching and you're maybe in a little bit different scenario than some people. You are currently coaching for a college team and
Yeah.
you're doing remote. So you graduate college. Walk me through what that process looked like up until maybe before you joined the program.
Yeah. So, like I said, got into the strength conditioning, joined Anderson University's baseball coaching staff, mainly doing strength conditioning, but also with baseball focus and stuff like that. Um, But yeah, that idea of wanting to get in remote training paired with that super well, right? Because quite frankly, I'm sure you probably know, Nick, and a lot of people watching that high school athletes are severely lacking in that category for the most part, right? And especially the ones that want to close the gap, getting to the college level, like their strength conditioning is something that could get them there metric wise. So I always knew that the overlap was really good there. Um, and then leading up to scale, right, before I joined the program, I did get on social media for a while on Instagram and I built my page to a pretty good degree. I think I joined scale around maybe 25,000 followers. So I built it up. However, the business side of it was garbage. I mean, it was pretty god awful. I was bringing in 0 to 5K a month, and even that was very inconsistent. Like I would bring in 2K one month for the next, and then probably under a K, right? So like that part was terrible. So I knew I needed help. Like I knew I needed help because I was almost ashamed at the followers I had and the money I was bringing in because I knew like that the business side was just not, it just wasn't working. So I was thinking like, man. Remember Nick? Like you used to watch his videos a lot. I maybe fell off a little bit off your YouTube, but like it was still always a thought. And I was like, remember Nick, man? Like you need help with this. So I ended up, I think I just DM'd you on Instagram, and then we hopped on a call. And like before that call, I mean, I was like I've known you, like I was pre-sold. Like I was pre-sold on joining. It was just okay. What's the dollar amount gonna be, right? Of course. What's the dollar amount gonna be? Um, and then once I get that information, if it's something that I can make happen, right? Because this is a priority for me. If it's something I can make happen, I'll join. Um, but yeah, and it ended up obviously working out financially. So hopped on in scale and it's been, I mean, monumentally better on the business side. Like not even close. Not even close.
Yeah, sick. It's interesting that you jumped right into scale on the front end. Obviously,
Hmm.
most people go through our core program, Remote Training University. Obviously, maybe you can't necessarily speak to how Remote Training University is, but when you jump into scale, right, what was that maybe like first few days, week kind of like for you?
Yeah. So just like anyone does with a big investment, right? They start maybe, I don't want to say second guessing, but just like, whoa. Because for me, Nick, I'll be straight up. I don't know if I even told you this, but at least financially, that was a crazy decision for me, dude. Like the amount that I paid, I didn't have much more than that. So it was a pretty ballsy decision on my end, right? So I ended up, joining. I'm thinking like, damn, Nate, that's a large sum of your money that you really don't have much of. Like, my first instinct is this, you better make this shit worth it, bro. Like, you better put your fucking all in this. Give it, sorry, I don't know if I can cuss, by the way. Is that
Yeah, go
okay?
ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. So, I was like, dude, you better put your fucking all in this. Like, you just invested in yourself for the first time in your life, dude. So, like, let's go. That was my first thought. And then I remember the first scale group call. I was really, really nervous, like very nervous. Just because kind of stepping in with the big dogs, right? Like I've watched Ian stuff, like Ian Jenkins stuff. I've watched Jordan Kennedy stuff. I'm like, damn, I'm in a group with these guys. A little starstruck, really, a little starstruck. So I guess nervous, but really ready to go and motivated, was probably the overwhelming feeling, I would say.
Yeah, sick. I didn't know. I appreciate you sharing that with me.
Yeah.
I obviously I think everybody should make their own financial decisions, right? But sometimes when you put it on the line like that, that's the best thing you could possibly do because you got one choice and it's to make it work.
Yep.
Yeah, it's sick, bro.
Well, that's exactly what happened, right? That's exactly what happened. Without getting into the numbers, basically, I would not be able to pay you the next month. if that helps. I would not be able to pay you that next month if I theoretically made no money on the investment. So that that was like I that actually did light a fire up under me, which still ignites. It's still there, right? Even though I could theoretically pay for the whole thing now, right? Which is kind of crazy 180. But
Yeah.
the fact that I couldn't pay for that next month, bro, was like, oh my gosh, that was a very big intrinsic motivator. 100%.
Yeah. Well, that's sick, dude. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
I know something you wanted to touch on is, and you gave me this objection on the sales call too,
That's why, dude.
that you were like, and you were honest with me too. You were like, hey, Nick, look, my objection is that I can do this on my own. And you'd kind of been doing it for a while. Like, what was that reframe for you that made you want to, number one, make a financial decision the way that you did? And then number two, accept the help.
Yeah. I think there's a couple sides of that for me. Number one, I knew I was spitting bullshit. Like there's times where like, dude, I'll say something and I'm just like, bro, like I said, I'm pretty analytical. So I'm pretty sure on that call, like I said that, and then I looked at it and I was like, bro, are you just giving Nick an objection just to fucking do it? Like honestly, what was that, bro? And then you're like, dude, yeah, I mean, you say like, yeah, you could, but I'm gonna help you get there quicker. I'm like, obviously, the fuck, I didn't need Nick to tell me that. So like I say it and I'm like, dude, you're just scared, right? Like you're just scared of making an investment and it not working or jumping into something new or even the I guess the responsibility that comes with that. That was what the objection was in my head and I found out that that was the objection during the call. I think that that helped a lot. But ultimately, like I said, Nick, I was sold on the program before the call. So, saying that again, just reinforce the fact that that was bullshit. Like that wasn't even true. So, um, and then the fact, of course, that I wasn't making any money. Like, what do you mean, do it on your own, bro? Like, I was making effectively $0, like
Yeah.
consistently. Whatever. I knew that that was bullshit. And then number two, I guess, was just hearing from a lot of influential people in my life that mentorship is more valuable, like probably one of the most valuable investments you can make, right? Like you hear it from a lot of really wealthy people and successful people that simply getting a mentor in your life will change your life. So I had that frame in my head as well, before and during that call, and I think that really did get me over the hump.
Yeah. Sweet. Okay. I thought I was just like that good of a salesman.
No, you're good, man. But I'm telling you, I was sold, bro. Like I was gonna join. I was gonna join.
Sweet. Okay. So then, so when you get into the program, like obviously, you're like, all right, I got to make this work tactically. What are the things that maybe you learned once you were inside the program that like made a immediate impact for you?
Yeah, dude. So yeah, great question because I did want to speak on this too. I kind of forgot to mention it. I think I've taken almost more, if not the same amount of value of how you actually run a program, more so than what I implement to make money. If that makes a lot of sense, I'll explain.
Okay.
Inside my program, I use a lot of the strategies that you use with inside yours with your people. So the calls, right? How you run the calls, how you communicate with us inside of Scale, right? How you answer questions, how you show up, all that kind of stuff. I actually took a lot of that and incorporated that into Kelly training. What I do on my calls with my players, how I communicate with them, things like that. I've probably taken just as much as that as like the business side. So that's helped results. That's helped, right? People buying in the program. It's helped morale, all that kind of stuff. Um, Number one. And then, yeah, of course, number two, tracking my metrics was big. Like, track your fucking metrics.
Yeah.
Didn't do that. Number two on that would be a lot of the sales process. So, um, I guess just how to handle more sales calls in a more effective manner with, of course, objections and scripting out sales and all that kind of stuff, which made me more money there. And then like messaging on my social media, making sure that I'm talking to the right people. I had no avatar before scale, simply nothing, nothing to make tangible with who I'm talking to. And that was like the first step that we kind of went through in scale, and that made a world of difference. So I guess those things are probably the biggest, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, you watch a lot of my YouTube. How would you say the program differs from just like, let's say, going on my YouTube channel and trying to figure it all out on your own?
Yeah, I mean, one-on-one. First of all, one-on-one time, right? Like I could I could go on your YouTube. I could, build a remote training program, hypothetically. However, inevitably, I'm going to run into a hurdle. I'm gonna run into a barrier of some kind. There's just gonna be something I don't know how to get over, right? With that being said, like, what are you gonna do? If you're just basing your business off of your YouTube videos, what? Are you gonna wait for Nick to post about your super niche issue in your business? Like, okay, I could wait till the end of time for Nick to make a fucking, I don't know, how to schedule a workout plan on Train Heroic on whatever it is. Like, dude, just being able to ask you, I think, has been like insanely beneficial. Just on a one-on-one type thing, or even through Slack on text, right? Like that one-on-one, that guidance and that connection, I think is essentially priceless. And obviously on YouTube, you don't get it. You don't get any of that. So I think that one-on-one for sure.
Yeah, sweet. Okay. And circling back, would you say that you kind of had like a mentality of like I'm gonna do this on my own, like I'm gonna be a lone wolf. I would rather do this on my own. Like, would you say that you kind of had that mentality for a while?
Yeah, 1,000%. And that's kind of how I've been in my life, even as a baseball player, right? And again, that seeps into my business side of things as well. So, yeah, I definitely had that lone wolf mentality. I definitely had the I can do this. I don't need anyone else's help, right? But that's simply a fallacy because you don't know what you don't know, right? And I want to say this to people who have that same mentality, right? Who may be watching this. Like you literally don't know what you don't know. So acting like you have it all there is just really foolish, right? And thinking that you can get to the top of the summit and figure everything out that this encompasses without the help of somebody who's been there, right? Without any guidance is really kind of foolish. Of course, the people who first did it, sure, maybe they were able to do it, but like, dude, if you have help at your fingertips, like just use the help. Get to that summit faster. Get to the summit without tripping and falling and rolling back down the hill. Like just get up there. Use help. I mean, money is money at the end of the day. Like we all want money. Money's great. But if you have to use money to fulfill yourself, to fulfill your business, to fulfill your life, like do it. You can't use that as an excuse, right? To not get to your dreams and accomplish your goals. And realistically, at the end of the day, having that lone wolf mindset is just it just comes down to ego. Like your ego is probably to the moon if you think that way, just like myself, or you're just not willing to invest some type of capital into your dreams, which I would say both are pretty fucking stupid. So be able to throw those kind of things to the wayside, right? Because those are like what we talk about. Those are those limiting beliefs um, that are so easily controllable that will really get in your way.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. You
Hmm.
know, yeah, I think going at anything alone is stupid.
Agreed.
I mean, shit, dude. Obviously, like this is the first time, you're investing in yourself, but like, bro, I say this all the time. I've spent like multiple six figures now at this point in my own education.
Right.
It's like, I don't know anybody who runs a seven-figure coaching business that hasn't invested. It's
Right.
crazy. But diving into more of like inside the program and things like that. Obviously, you came in, you were a couple grand here and there, right?
Yep.
Talk to me about February. How did February go for you?
Sure. Yeah. So hopped in officially at the beginning of February. Um, in February, lo and behold, is my best month ever, right? No surprise there. But yeah, made 16.5K in February, right? So we talked about barely scratching a grand at some months here and there. Like talk about that investment, talk about that flip or whatever, however you want to word it. Like 16.5K in February, easily the best month I've ever done. And that, is parallel 1-to-1 with joining scale. Like there's no coincidence that I made 16.5K by accident, right? So and I don't know about anyone watching this too. Like I want to throw this in there. Like I believe in God. If you don't, whatever. I think that just taking a risk on yourself, investing and doing something you've never done before, you will get some type of benefit from God or the universe or whatever you believe in. Like I thoroughly believe that making this decision to jump into such a daunting thing for me had gave me benefits in many different ways from a higher power and that money is a part of that, right? Knowledge is a part of that, but like ultimately that's what I believe. And it shows, man. It definitely shows for sure.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing that. And obviously, congratulations on the growth.
Mhm. Thank you.
You know, what do you think were the biggest contributing factors?
Hmm. Yeah. I guess immediately I think of the scale group calls. It's probably the first thing I think of just because first of all, the amount of time we actually spend on those calls is pretty lengthy. So there's a lot of information and value to take out of those. I think, Nick, honestly, with the amount of notes and stuff I take on those like group calls, like I implement almost everything we talk about, and that has directly correlated in my revenue. It's directly correlated in the amount of players that have enrolled, all the above. A lot of that has come from the information on the scale group calls, simply because there's so many lanes and lenses that other people look into and their own problems and stuff. Maybe I don't see. Again, you don't see what you don't see. So maybe, Chris is having an issue that I never thought about, but is actually my issue as well. We talk about it with Chris, and then I'm like, dude, holy shit, I'm probably worse. Like I need to get on this too. So we talk about all those things, and I think the group calls for me have been like top tier. Like that has been massive for my growth.
Yeah, that's sick, bro.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, how is the program different or same than you thought it was going to be before joining?
Hmm. Man, I guess I don't really know how to answer that. I think before I was just like, man, I really need help on my systems. Like my systems were just super whack, um, and stuff like that. And I think that has been the reality, of joining the program. It's been a lot of helping with the systems and all that kind of stuff. I think really, Nick, the best way I can answer this is like kind of the psychology. I didn't expect like a lot of the psychology around all this stuff to really be something we dove into a lot, or even me and you like in one-on-ones like talk about the psychology behind this kind of stuff, our beliefs. Like I never thought we would talk about our beliefs. I never thought we would get into the psychology of sales and all this shit and talk about my mindset and all this stuff, which is really the stuff that's going to move the needle with my production, how I feel day to day. Like that's the stuff that's at the root, that's the foundation, right? So I think hopping into scale, right? Like my mindset was, okay, Nick's going to help me train athletes. He's going to help me literally train athletes, right? Like we're going to get my systems ready. We're going to get my social media on lock, like all this stuff, which is true. It's 100% true. However, that was like 75%, I would say, of the picture. that other 25 has been a lot of like personal, more like discussion based stuff and like beliefs and in that kind of route.
Yeah, sick. Appreciate you sharing that, dude. I think it's the most important thing that you could
Right.
really dive into, you know,
Right. Mhm.
especially somebody at your stage where, you already have a lot of the tactical skill.
Right.
So, who would you say that the scale program is for?
Mm. I would say it's for somebody who is really ambitious. So being like for me, I am not a 1 foot in, 1 foot out guy at all in anything I've ever done in my life. I would almost say, without throwing words in your mouth, Nick, if you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, this probably isn't something you should dive into, is what the first thing I would say is like you need to be ambitious, like you got to be an ambitious person. I think somebody who's willing to put in the work, you're going to reap rewards that you probably have completely limited yourself to even believing were possible before joining a program like this. So ultimately, I mean, first thing I would say is be someone with drive, be a motivated, ambitious person. That's perfect for a program like this. And somebody who can also take criticism well, I think is massive. Like if you're gonna hop in the program, you're gonna be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You're gonna take everything personal that Nick or somebody else brings to your attention. You're not gonna get much. You're gonna get some stuff out of it. Obviously, like your systems are probably gonna improve and stuff like that. But like all the like external tangible stuff, like dude, you're probably gonna do yourself a disservice. So it's perfect for somebody who is tenacious about business. They can take criticism, and love to do what they do. I think ultimately would be a perfect fit.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that.
100%.
So, looking forward then, what are your plans for the future?
Yeah. So I guess in a revenue sense, like I want to make 50K in a month, 100%. And I want to do that this year. So I definitely want to hit 50K this year at some point, and then once I hit 50, to never dip below 50 um, ever again, right? So I want that to be my floor, and I want that to start this year. I really want that to happen this summer. So that's kind of my vision there. But I mean, I'm gonna have goals past that too. Like, I want to have my own KT gym. I want to have my own KT like summer ball team. Like, I want all this shit. But like, I guess within the scope of scale, definitely 50K, bro. Definitely 50K. I know I can do
Sick.
it. So
Sick.
yeah,
I'm excited to see it happen, dude.
it will.
So, and before we wrap up here, is there anything that you want to say while we still got the camera rolling?
Yeah, take risks. 100% take risks because most of the time, I can't speak for every situation out there. Most of the time, that regret is going to outweigh any potential downside of that risk, right? Let's say I joined Scale, I spent X amount, shoot, okay, maybe I don't make that back. Damn, that sucks. I'm down X amount of money, right? But the pain of me not knowing what the outcome could have been by not joining actually outweighs that X amount of money that I did lose, right? Like for me, that's what I want to live by. I want to live by that sort of mindset. And I just want to say to anyone watching, take the risk, right? Because you're going to live life on safe mode the rest of your life if you're not able to do that. And as we know, living on safe mode doesn't really lead to a lot of reward, right? Like, sure, you might be consistent in a way, maybe stable in some ways, but it's never going to be this vision and this big dream you have of yourself. You're never going to get there without taking risk. So I want to wrap up and say, take, take, take this risk in particular, but just take risks, man. Like take risks on yourself.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
So, well, just so people know you're not AI, where can they find you?
What's that? Where
Where
can they
can they,
find?
yeah, where can they find you at?
Yeah, Kelly.training on Instagram and Kelly Training no dot on YouTube.
Dope.
Yes, sir.
Well, Nate, I really appreciate you jumping on. I'm super stoked to see where this journey takes you. I mean, obviously the growth has been quick, but I don't even necessarily believe that it's a business thing. I think it's a personal thing. So I think as you continue to develop, bro, like the sky's the limit. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Absolutely, Nick.
Sweet. Well, if you're watching this and you're a coach and you want to train athletes online and you're not in our program, dude, what are you doing? Book a call with us. Book a call with us down below. But anyway, Nate, appreciate you jumping on.
Yes, sir. It was a great time, man.